Leadership isn't just a title. It's something we practice every day, whether on the tools or managing a team. Welcome to Tradies Who Lead, the podcast about everyday leadership for everyday legends. I'm Ashley Beltecchi, a diesel mechanic by trade and your host. Let's get started. I'm thrilled to kick off the first episode by introducing two remarkable individuals. Cat and Dave are the power couple behind the multi-award-winning business McCarthy Plumbing Group, which they launched in 2013 in Melbourne's West. Originally from Colac, Dave's 22-year career in plumbing has taken him all over Australia, including a stint in Perth. It also took him to the UK, where he worked as a mechanical and electrical manager for one of the UK's biggest building companies, Ardmore. Currently, Dave is on the board of directors for the Master Plumbers Association, while also being the director of McCarthy Plumbing Group. Kat's background is in sports and community development, having completed a bachelor's degree in social science and marketing. She worked in community organisations within the AFL's orbit in Perth and then the football leagues during her time in the UK. Pre-McCarthy Plumbing, Kat was both the East Coast manager and grants manager of the Woolwich Foundation, where Woolwich means eagle in the Noongar language. This foundation was the West Coast Eagles' Indigenous charity subsidiary. Welcome, Dave and Kat. It's a pleasure to have you. What inspired you to start your business?
Well, I guess originally I was thinking that I could probably do it better than anyone else could. We were new to the area and decided that it's time to branch out. One Cook was growing at the time and thought that, if we started our little company in the garage at home, it'd probably do okay.
We had no foresight either. So
no.
it was started with just a bit of a whim and then it kind of took off and we had zero planning and no foresight of how big it could grow or where we could end up. So we took the no plan approach. We just had a baby, or we were pregnant with Sadie at the time, and just got married, just got a new house, just moved back from backpacking overseas, and Dave had the harebrained idea. So we're like, okay, well, just roll with it. So it was a busy time. Everything was kind of happening at once.
Did your leadership journey kind of begin with the start of the business, or did it start before the business?
I guess both our leadership journeys started prior to that. We're both in sort of management roles in our previous positions that sort of led us to where we were. So, we'd both been managing teams throughout the years prior. So it wasn't a massive leap of faith, I guess, when it come to our previous knowledge base.
We'd both, you'd managed about 60-odd people in London just before we started the business. And then I managed a team all across the east coast of Australia. So this wasn't our first rodeo management-wise, but it certainly was nothing like owning a business. It was, I don't know if you can even do any training. You just got to kind of jump in feet first and see how it goes. It's a totally different type of leading, I think.
Did your definitions of leadership change much when you went into business, or did that kind of continue on as you transitioned from, I guess, managing to running a business?
Probably changed a little bit because I was going from large construction companies that had between 30 and 60 guys. So, there was never a big skin in the game when it come to losing an employee to another company or actually losing profit on a job because, it wasn't my money to lose. So when you start to go into the world of high stakes lost through your own savings, it adds an extra heightened ability to sort of understand the value of where you stand.
It definitely changed leadership when we worked for other people and me in another industry. It was just managing and making sure I did what my job description said. And nothing more or less. It was just part of the role. Whereas, like Dave said, when you have skin in the game and when it's your business, and we've had the two different business names now. Both business names have our name in it still. So when you have that, it's ownership as well. Which it's not just being a manager and switching off. When it's time to switch off. So and trying to be a leader and create something that you'd want to work for if you were an employee as well. So you look back at all the great managers you've had, and we've had some pretty great mentors over the time, and not so great leaders that we've had. So trying to learn from our past roles and try and mold ourselves into good leaders, I guess. So it's ongoing, and you learn every day.
Obviously, that mindset of working for someone else and working for yourself was a big shift. Dave, how do you show up as a leader every day?
Personally, it's probably as much about what I do as what I say. I try and be the first in the office 4 mornings a week. So I'm in the office at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So I sort of beat all the guys in and get a little bit of my stuff done. So I'm sort of open and available as each of them come in and say good day and have a bit of a chat before they start their day. I see that very important. Starting every day to be, have my door to my office open so that the guys can come in and have a chat, which they often do. As a leader, you need to be there for your team, and you need to be leading by example. And that's one way I think is a very, very good and strong way to show up every day.
Yeah, and you obviously are using your actions and not just your words to really demonstrate that and being consistent about that for your team. What's one tool or strategy that you use to lead effectively?
It's probably not a strategy as such. I guess it's just, I suppose it's authenticity. Dave and I don't know if it's our strength, it can be our weakness at times. We're both, we both share quite similar business values. I guess that's how we're able to work together, but we're quite transparent and honest and open. And it's probably a strategy that, it's done well for us because we've always been open and transparent to our team, and with the highs and the lows, and we've always found that quite important, of never hiding anything from our team. We don't overshare things, but it really did help. Well, it helps establish relationships, it helps the trust both ways.
Creates empathy as well.
Yeah,
it's an understanding.
That's it. It really helped in COVID, not to talk about COVID times, but that's when we met, Ash. I think it was just the start of COVID. I heard you speak the first time. Really helped kind of get on their level. So I guess not a tool or a strategy, but it's just being authentic has always been how we've chosen to run our business and how we have led, and it's helped us create our good and thriving times like we are in now, and it's also helped the team stay part of our team through the hard times. There's years ago when we were on stop with suppliers, and because we had cash flow problems, because a builder would go under, and instead of hiding that from the team, we'd always be open and transparent, because if you create fear by the unknown, it certainly doesn't help your culture.
The importance of culture was something that was very clear from both of you when we were just getting some background information, and something that you do display in public on your social media platforms. So where did that value for culture come from, and why is it so important to you both and in your business?
I'd come from my construction background into more of a small business background. So culture wasn't big on the agenda. Culture wasn't a big thing. It was more, you used your guys to their strengths, you burn them out, you send them on, you get a new crew. So Kat probably taught me a lot about culture, and about not just talking about culture as in living the culture as well of the company, and making sure that your people are looked after, because if you look after your people, they'll look after you. So I guess, corporate values that Kat brought in is something that I had to sort of learn from Kat as we were going, and it's something that, we try and display as often as we can, because it is important. It's a lot more important than a lot of other factors when it comes to keeping staff.
With team culture, I still remember back, this is our 12th year now, back in kind of year 2 or 3, when we had a smaller team of about 5, and then I suggested having one-on-ones and like meetings every month, and Dave looked at me like, one-on-ones? We don't do that in construction. Like, we don't do that in plumbing. We don't sit down and, talk about your goals and talk about how well you do. It just happens. And anyway, I talked him into it, and he's like, oh, actually, they sat down and they told me about, I wondered what was going on, and he hasn't been the same. And then he told me all about this stuff that's happening at home. So, and I come from a bit more of a fluffy field of, I've always worked for not-for-profits, and, it's all about the culture and, how we can make the workplace better. So, it's kind of integrating that into a construction company. It doesn't always have to just be fluff, and it's actually really important that to look after your team. And we've had really great retention rates compared to some other businesses ever since, really. But the one thing about team culture is it's a great buzzword, but it's it's perpetual. It's not just take the team paintballing or go-karting and that's it. We've got a great team culture. Tick, I've done, what I've had to do. It's perpetual. It's the little things as well. It's activities and, we try and do something quarterly with all the team and all their families, but it's the really little things as well. It's the acknowledgement, the recognition for the small things. It's the traditions, the flexibility for families and for our athletes. The traditions, we've got our ops manager. He was our first ever hire. He's been with us on Monday. It's his 10-year anniversary. And I looked up a stat the other day and Co-Invest said only 3% of construction workers, especially plumbers, stay with their employer for 10 years. And that's the whole purpose of portable long service leave. But it was an interesting stat because it just showed it's not an industry that, people tend to stay in for very long. And in 2025, the generations have changed. It's, 10 years is quite rare for anyone to stay with one employer. So, just the tradition of celebrating that. We celebrate 5 years. We celebrate apprentices that have completed their journeymans. It's never ending. You can't just, do one barbecue and then we've got a great team. Look, everyone's happy. So it does take a lot of effort as well. It's a lot of work. It is an investment. It's in time and money, and it takes time away from the business because you're investing in business time, and it does cost. But I don't know. We think it's worthwhile.
Retention levels will tell you that.
Yeah, retention level. It showed us during COVID, not to keep harping on about COVID, but it really did show that we had a really strong team back then. So
we had guys who were willing to drop pay or go down on hourly rate or whatever just to get us through. That's
which we never had to do.
Which we never had to
but
do.
It was lovely for them to call us for that. It made us cry, didn't it?
It did. No,
we never had to do it, but it was just like, wow, they really have our back like we have their back. So that's why it's important. I think it helps our business thrive. So it's not just a nice to do.
That's a really powerful example of having people in your team, I guess, willing to sacrifice personally to support you. And I think when it comes to business and having grown up in family business myself, it's sometimes I think leaders and business owners make the mistake of thinking that people will treat their business like their own, but it's because of that positive culture you fostered. Your people really do embrace your business, and they obviously are willing to contribute as if it is their own, or to, I guess, provide more than you'd probably expect from your average person or your average team.
It also shows when we do recruit for new, because we've been growing, often our new recruits, our last 4, have come from team members, friends, or, trade school acquaintances. So I think they're not going anywhere soon if they're going to bring their mate along to be on our journey as well. So that's just a nice thing as well.
That was a great segue into my next question, talking about growing the business, but I guess also growth personally. And as you said, through your leadership journey, as leadership changed and your work environment's changed, what does growth mean to you?
The term growth has probably changed a fair bit over the years. Like when we first started, growth was all about numbers and about how we could get bigger and make it look bigger. And as we've gone along our journey, we've sort of come to the realization that growth has to start within first, and it really has to be fostered along the way. So, it's not just about how many vehicles on the road. It's about your efficiencies. It's about your inner learnings and making sure that you're growing within yourself to be able to have the best possible you getting out there to teach your guys and grow their journey as well. So that's probably something that we've been working really hard on for the last 3 or 4 years, is just that internal growth. It's not all about external, whatever else can see. It's what's happening on the inside and what's bubbling away in the background is what the really exciting part of our journey and growth process is now.
Yeah, and I think it's powerful that like leading by example and showing up as a leader is really an internal job first. Kat, I guess in the context of growth and life and business, it is a continuous journey. So how do you implement continuous improvement, I guess, across all facets of life and business?
We both have always been interested in lifelong learning and, not just, doing your degree or your trade and stopping there. We've always wanted to learn more, and we were always hungry for knowledge. It's not always training and, reading a newsletter and, putting you guys through a first aid course. Our team actually decided on our values about 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
We had a stop tools day, and then everyone chose our values because they were just words on a wall, and they weren't getting buy-in, because why would you buy into, trust, honesty, they were just token values. So we all sat down and we all determined what our values were going to be, what everyone wanted McCarthy Plumbing Group to be. And continuous improvement was one of the ones that one of our apprentices at the time chose, which I always loved it. It's my favourite one. And it doesn't have to be just the training. We like to think we do more than just the have to do training. We like to do the nice to do training as well, whether that be we put everyone when they first start on a working at heights course, because, I don't want them trying on a harness and just getting up on a roof without being taught how to do it properly. It shouldn't be a nice to do, it probably should be a have to do course. Like our Jetta course, we make them all do a Jetta course. It costs a bomb. It's 2 days off work that they have to do. But I think just instead of just getting out there, and getting on the Jetta, we like them to learn this, how to operate things safely. And also if they like to, specialize in anything, we'd like to think we invest in that sort of thing. But it's also continuous improvement is their own personal goals that they set for themselves, either personally or business. And also, like Dave mentioned about our growth, internal growth, improving, it's said a lot, the little 1%ers. So, we're really trying to get every single process honed down. It's all the boring stuff, but continuous improvement that way. We last year we actually went to Scotland and England as part of a scholarship we got from the Master Plumbers Association, and we did we had visits across. There was an innovation construction centre in Glasgow. We went to Newcastle to a hydrogen plant there. I did a Women in Plumbing conference in London. Dave met with the Master Plumbers in England over there. So, and we did the Plumbing Expo in Birmingham. So we had a week of just trying to soak up knowledge and share that with the Victorian plumbing community. We wrote a big thesis afterwards that took months to do, but it was all about sharing information with peers, really, about what they do well over there, what we maybe do a bit better over here. It was just that path to wanting to keep improving our business. And, Dave's quite heavily involved in the plumbing industry in Victoria. So it was just that, want to not just improve our business, but the industry as a whole, which we're quite passionate about. Yeah, so it's kind of, it can start with just, helping one of the guys with his, personal finances by buying him the Barefoot Investor book and telling him to read it, or, it can be, traveling overseas. It's something we kind of live and breathe, and it's a pretty important value in our business. So, yeah.
Around that collaboration and bringing other people and other businesses on that learning journey with you, how do you negotiate collaboration versus competition in a business environment?
For us, where we are in the community, there's a lot of great people and a lot of great businesses. Then there is enough work to go around. So for us, collaborations is a vital key. There's a lot of businesses around us who do parts of plumbing that we don't, or they specialise in things that we don't, that we utilise. And even over and above that, just having a conversation with the local business owner about how they're faring with the current environment. It can change everyone's mindset, really, and it can open up doors to many possibilities for collaboration. Because I feel that we're very much seen as competition, and we all shouldn't talk and discuss and help each other out. But at the end of the day, we're all just humans. We're all just trying to get by as well as we can. So, I think collaboration is something that it needs to be done more of, and being part of a Master Plumbers Association, that really is at the forefront. So that for me, being a part of that organisation, association, going to meetings, going to all of the pub nights and stuff they have, allows me to go and chat to other plumbers. So I find it easy, and that allows us to come back to our local community and try and do the same thing. Because as soon as you have a conversation with a plumber, you'll find so many commonalities about where business is and how you're finding customers and everything else. So it's more of a therapy session, I guess, than anything else.
It's our favourite to talk to is our competition because we network quite a lot, Dave and I. But it's when we talk to our competition, people in similar areas, similar industry, that they're going through exactly what we're going through. The good stuff, the bad stuff, highs and lows of, if it's busy or not. So they're really, like Dave said, they're really great. It's, if you consider them more as peers rather than your competitors, then I think a lot of people just see it as the scarcity. They take my work, or I could have that work. And we're like Dave said, lots of them in the local area now we work with, because, they've got a bit of kit that we don't have, or they don't have enough staff that week. So we do. So it actually works in everyone's favour if you do work together.
It's like the reputation of the group and the industry benefits from the individuals that are lifting each other up and collectively having that strong collaboration and reputation. So in 30 seconds or less, what's your advice to tradies or to business owners about how they can show up as everyday leaders?
An everyday leader is not someone that you don't need to be shouting from the rooftops what you do and how you do it. As we keep saying, it's how you show up. It's how you conduct yourself in the community while you're within work hours and outside work hours. It's not just about being a leader while you're on the tools. It's about being a leader, within your community and showing, the local people around you that you are committed to them and to your local people. So I think that's a big thing. And, showing up with positivity is always a great thing as well. I mean, it doesn't matter how bad of a day you're having, as we keep telling our guys, you can change someone's day with just a smile and hello. And that's something that you've got the ability and the power to do by just changing the narrative of their world and their day. And that's easy to do. That doesn't cost anything.
I just think tradies can just remind themselves where they started and who gave them their first opportunity. We've got some, and, guys on our team as well, because we take on a lot of work experience students, we have apprentices, and some of the guys are like, another work experience student. So I think everyone needs to be reminded that we've all started at the bottom rung of the ladder, like, the cliche lead by example, but remembering where you started as well. And, you were there because you took an opportunity, and it's kind of making sure that you then give someone an opportunity and a patient and help them grow. I think that's a good way to be an everyday leader, is to make sure you remember where you came from and offer that opportunity. So keeps building our industry.
It's perpetual, it just keeps going,
yeah. It's really clear from this chat today that people are at the core of how you operate in your community and in your business. And it's not just the big things that we need to do, but also the smaller things that can accumulate and have a really positive impact on everyone in our life and as leaders. And so I really appreciate your time today. For our listeners, you can connect with Kat and David on their social media handles or on their website, which will all be linked in the bio. But Kat and David, thank you so much for your time and insight into running McCarthy Plumbing Group. And I can't wait to see everything the business becomes and the number of people it has a positive impact on long term.
Thanks, Ash. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Tradies Who Lead on your preferred podcast platform. Don't forget to like, share, or leave a review. It helps more tradies discover the show. You can also follow the podcast on socials at Tradies Who Lead for highlights, sneak peeks, and more. Thanks for joining me for the very first episode of Tradies Who Lead. A new episode drops every fortnight, and I can't wait to connect with you for the next one.